Look at it this way: after the events of the first movie, you might enjoy this one a little more when you realize there are no good guys. Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we're going to be talking about the sequel to a movie that I really wanted to love when I first saw it, and at first I really was loving the movie. I but I wasn't rooting for the heroes of the movie. I was rooting for the villain, because I thought he was justified in his actions. He was defending his home. He was defending his wealth, from people trying to take it from him. But then the twist of the movie happened, where we found out that he had kidnapped the woman that had killed his daughter, and he had impregnated her, and he just wanted a new daughter, right? And it got all sick and twisted, and then it was just like, I don't know. It kind of knocked the movie down a few pegs for me. But yeah, today we are going to be talking about Don't Breathe 2, starring Stephen Lang, returning as the blind, retired military man Norman Nordstrom. I will warn you, there's probably going to be some minor spoilers in this review. If you don't want any spoilers, it's hard for me to say I recommend this one or not. Look, I like this movie. But see, a lot of people are going to take issue with what they did with Lang's character in this. Because really in this, in some ways he's seen as the hero. That being said, I really feel that they don't want you to see him as a hero in this. He doesn't see himself as the hero in this. And I think that's kind of the point. There are no good guys. Okay, the little girl I'm about ready to talk about is technically, I mean, yeah, there's a couple other characters that aren't in it much, and they're okay, good guy people, but the girl is the good guy. The people that are trying to do bad things in this, and Stephen Lang's character, they're not good guys. They're bad people doing bad things to each other. That's kind of what I think the movie is trying to say. They really aren't trying to redeem Stephen Lang's character. He's just the character you need at that moment to protect the little girl. But anyway, so it's hard for me to recommend it. I liked it, but I think a lot of people are still going to take issue with what he did in the first movie. But if you remember that they're really not trying to turn him into a hero in this, that he's just the right bad guy at the right time kind of character, you might enjoy this one a little more. You just don't treat him as a good guy. Really, though, this movie's giving you what you wanted the first time. With, the character defending his home. He never should have been the villain in the first one. And they never should have done the kidnapping stuff in the first one. Because if he was just a guy defending his home, he's not the villain, he's the hero. And they still could have, thought they killed him, stole his money, but then they found out he was still alive, right? So, and you still could have led into this movie. That being said, some of the stuff he did in this movie, if he didn't do what he did in the first movie, he wouldn't have done what he did in this movie. When it comes to what I'm about to tell you about. So yeah, hard for me to recommend to everybody. But me, I really liked it. I thought it was a pretty good movie. All right, so the setup for this movie is we see there's a house fire and a little girl's in the middle of the street, like she had escaped the house. Cut to 8 years later, we see a little girl running through the forest, and she ends up getting chased by a dog. She gets away from the dog, and we come to find out that she's not really in trouble. She's training, and we see that Norman Lang's character, or Stephen Lang's character Norman, is training her to survive. And so you assume that the little girl in the middle of the street is this girl, and oh my god, Norman has a daughter. How did this happen, right? You're just really wondering. It's like, okay, what is going on here? I mean, yes, we know he survived the first movie, but now all of a sudden it's 8 years later and he's got a daughter, and she's calling him dad. And it's like, what is going on? Okay, so that's kind of the whole crux of the movie, is how the heck did he get a daughter? Um, he's very protective of her and really doesn't want her to leave very much, but he reluctantly agrees to let his daughter leave with this flower delivery girl, who, like Norman, is also ex-military. She almost calls him out. You think she's a villain through part of this because she says, I know you've done bad things to Norman. And of course, as the audience, you're wondering if she's had discovered what he had done 8 years or so before. But no, it comes to find out, she's like, look, I was in the military too. And, we come home with a lot of problems and everything. So she wasn't calling him out. She was, kind of identifying with him and kind of saying, look, I get it. I get what you're going through. So his daughter gets to go to town with this lady, and there's a chance meeting in a bathroom where the daughter meets this guy, and this guy, of course, ends up becoming the antagonist of the movie, him and his group. And it come to find out that this guy and his group are also ex-military people, and we'll talk about why that's a good thing here in a second. But his ex-military group, as we see in a newscast, are behind stealing people's organs and selling them on the black market. So that's kind of your setup. It's like, okay, we've got these bad people doing bad things, and they are, of course, our antagonists for the movie. This guy in the bathroom notices something about the daughter, notices she has a streak of white hair, and that actually comes into play. So later in the movie, these former military guys, go after to try to get the daughter. But of course, this is the house of Norman Nordstrom. So let's just say it's not so easy for them. That's your basic setup for the movie. You got people coming to Norman's house, and Norman has to defend not only his house, he's not defending his wealth this time, he's defending his daughter that he got. But anyway, all right. So we all can agree, and I think, and then, look, I know a lot of people thought that if the first movie stood alone, that okay, you can have that twist with the character and he's still out there. And really, I thought this sequel was going to have to do with the survivor from the first one, Rocky. I thought like maybe she was going to go after him or something with some people or something. I didn't know. I didn't really watch any trailers for this because I didn't want to know. And I thought maybe she was going to go after him, but no, there's no sign of her in this movie. And again, it jumps 8 years. So you've got, there's really, other than the character of Norman and the fact that we know what he had done, there's really no connections to the first movie. So what I liked about this was, first of all, again, they're not treating Norman as a hero in this. We know he's a monster. The only person, nobody knows here he's a monster except us. And his daughter definitely don't know he's a monster. She just knows that he is training her to survive. So when these military guys, and that's another cool thing I'll talk about in a second, when these military guys come after him, his daughter finally starts to see the monster in him, and she even tries to stop him from, even though these people are trying to take her, he's brutalizing this guy, and she's just like, stop. it's like, well, he really is. Even though he's a monster, he does care about her. Because remember his big thing in the first one was he just wanted a daughter back. He was hurting. He wanted a daughter. Again, I'm not saying sympathize with the kidnapper rapist, but that was his reasoning. And so he's doing everything he can to protect her in this, but she's seeing the monster, and really, a lot of the point of this movie is Lang's character is not looking for forgiveness in the end. He's just, he realizes, he admits that he is the monster you think he is. And again, they're not treating him, even though he is your anti-hero in this, he's not looking for forgiveness. He's not looking, to move past what he had done. It's all about him, just being the right monster at the right time. So I like that, even though in the first one I would have loved for him to have been the hero, it's with the way they continue the story, he couldn't have been the hero of the first one. He has to be the monster in the first one to be the character, to have the character development that he has in this one. The next thing I liked is the fact that it wasn't just some punk kids looking for money this time. Because we all know in the first one, I mean, he just, he decimates those kids, right? I mean, only the one gets away. And that's barely gets away. Whereas in this one, you've got ex-military guys coming after him. So you've got an older, blind ex-military guy versus dishonorably discharged military guys. They make a comment to someone where they say, we are dishonorably discharged from a dishonorable war. They're talking about Iraq. So they're going after him, and they're trained, and they can fight. They know how to use weapons. So it gives Norman more of a formidable foe this time versus just taking on some punk kids that might be able to fight back. And it let's just say Norman gets wounded a lot, but I like that they had a more formidable foe going after him this time. Without getting into spoilers, there is some really dumb things in this movie, though. I'm not going to say this is a perfect movie, far from it. There's some really dumb stuff in this movie. I can't really talk about why it's okay. I'll try to dance around it. If somebody can't do a job anymore, even though there is a connection to one character has a connection to another, and they really want this character to live, if it's about the business, you could get someone else to do the job. And there's the reasoning they're wanting to take Norman's daughter is kind of dumb. It is kind of dumb. But you know what? I went with it because I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the chaos of it all. So, the reasoning the bad guys are doing what they're doing, trying to take Norman's daughter, in some ways it makes sense. If you consider some of the bad guys to be selfish people, like really selfish people. So that way it kind of works. And it's still kind of dumb, though. So I'm not saying this movie's perfect when it comes to the motivations of some characters and what they're trying to do. But again, this is a movie about a blind guy that is decimating people in his house. And there is some ridiculous ways that he is able to sense people and things. I mean, you're almost looking at old man Daredevil in some ways in this. And you know what, though? I was still enjoying it. So yeah, there's it's really hard for me to recommend, but really I like this one. I thought it was a really good continuation of the first one, given it's like, okay, if you do continue this one, if they're really trying to set him up as an anti-hero, how does it work? Well, he's really not the hero. You have to go into this realizing that he's still a monster that is hidden from society, where instead of, oh, it's 8 years later and we're supposed to forgive him for what he did the first time. You can't forgive him. And again, he doesn't forgive himself either. And that's the point. A lot of people are having a problem with this movie because, like, how am I supposed to root for the murderer rapist guy? It's like, yeah, in some ways you're rooting for him, but you're rooting for him because you want the daughter to survive. And without him, she wouldn't. And that's the point. Yeah, you've got this bad man, this terrible person, but you know what? He's the only thing that stands between her and all the other crappy people in this. That's the point. But anyway, I enjoyed this movie. It makes me like the first one a little better because they found a way to have you somewhat root for Lang's character, but still realize that he is not a hero. Anyway, that's all for this one. See you later.